You keep making the basic assumption. Sorry, let me just say this, Mike. You keep making the basic assumption that we are ridiculing Christ and Christ's teaching, and I say that we are not.
But do you imagine that your scene, for instance, of the Sermon on the Mount, the scene in your film of the Sermon on the Mount, is not ridiculing one of the most sublime utterances that any human being has ever spoken on this earth? Of course it is.
No, it's making fun of the guy who's remembered it wrong and of the people who don't understand it and miss the point.
Well, I think that's really unfair, because I think that a lot of people looking in will think that we have actually ridiculed Christ physically. Christ is played by an actor, Ken Colley. He speaks the words from the Sermon on the Mount. He's treated absolutely respectfully. The camera then pans away. We go right to the back of the crowd to someone who shouts, "Speak up," because they cannot hear him. Now, I mean, if that utterly, undermines one's faith in Christ, then I think the faith cannot be terribly strong.
I started off by saying that this is such a 10th-rate film that I don't believe that it would disturb
anybody's faith. Yes, I know you started with an open mind. I realise that.
John, can I put you a question? Now, without, I hope, in any way sort of being pompous, I mean, I have been Bishop of South London now for over 20 years, and I'm appalled by the sadness, the unhappiness, the tragedy of life, and the drug scene, the violence, the muggings, and so on. And many people now are standing back with a measure of deep disturbance and horror. I was at Cambridge only the Sunday before last, and I'm told how the undergraduates are turning up in chapel and seeing if Christianity has got something to offer. I think, I mean, most of us, I'm sure we'd be all agreeable, however much we may differ on this film, that we are deeply disturbed by what's going on in the world and in this country. Now, there is a desire to find truth, to find some answer to our problems. And the question, I mean, I would put to you, I mean, could you really put your hand on your heart and say that that film is going to help the younger generation in its pilgrimage for truth?
If they think about it, absolutely. The message is, what is it, Mike? What are the words? Work it out for yourself. You're all individuals. Don't do what people tell you to do. And that's not
you find that a final...
No, starting point.
Starting point.
Including the lampooning of Christ.
And the lampooning of his death, which is the most disgraceful part of the whole thing.
Surely, Markham, it was the lampooning of a form of death, which happened to hundreds of people.
You're lampooning a scene which has been played a fantastic part in the lives of believers for generations, a scene that has inspired the most amazing disinterestedness, creativity, that sets St. Francis of Assisi wandering about the streets, that inspired St. Augustine to write The City of God.
This I accept, but I
all
think
that
the
is true, and all you've done is to make a lot of people on the cross singing a music hall song. It's so disgusting when you think of it.
A lot of people go away very happy, laughing at that, their faith not touched one jot.
I don't think it'll
really
touch
do.
their faith. I don't think it will.
Let me come back at this point. And a lot of people on the first Good Friday went away from Calvary laughing their heads off and thinking the death of Jesus was a tremendous joke.
Well, that's very true, you know, because, as a matter of fact, all you've done is for the person you followed in this film is Herod, because it was Herod who organised this absurd scene, and I'm only amazed that you didn't get some comic effects out of the Crown of Thorns. That's the only thing that puzzles me in the film.
If we wanted to make a joke out of Jesus, Jesus would have appeared on the cross. He was an actor, he was there in the film. He does not appear on the cross. Nowhere at all. It's a gang of thieves, of common criminals who were at that time crucified in hundreds day by day. I mean, that's... I'm sorry, I know that you think I'm wrong, but that's what I feel. It is not Christ.
I think it's a ludicrous thing, because I tell you that the people see...
This is what the film's about.
Malcolm, can I just say that to an outsider, the crucifixion is a much stronger event if one realises that Christ went through something that everybody went through. If you treat it like something that only he went through, which is the image you get. I never realised I was about 16 that everybody got crucified.
If he was crucified between...
I also have to say that we have to...
he was crucified between two thieves. If you're saying that the experience of those three people was the same experience simply because they went through the same physical experience, then you are utterly misunderstanding what the crucifixion means, what the passion means, why it's had this enormous role in people's lives. It wouldn't have had that role if it was simply one of innumerable men dying on a cross. It's because of what it signified that in terms of the incarnation, and of course you leave that all out of account. What you've done is you've succeeded in doing, and that for that reason it will have absolutely no influence in the long run, you have succeeded in reducing something which has inspired the greatest art into something which is presented in terms of the lowest art. That's your feat. That's your
set up your own terms that we have to influence people. We're not saying we want to influence people. We're trying to make them laugh, make them happy. I mean, that's something that helps.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to call a halt. I'm very sorry. I think you've made people happy and made them think and made them laugh. And
I think we'll make them talk about it.
Well, you'll get your 30 pieces. You'll get your 30 pieces of silver. Well, I'm quite sure.
I hasten to add that.
You're missing the most wonderful thing in life, and you're seeing it in those terms, and it's utterly tragic.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Utterly tragic.
I hope that film won't shake anybody's faith.